we were blessed. We were all
Fucking
blessed.
speaking of sign language. All right, I'll give you two of these.
No,
I'm
we
I'm
were.
out on I'm out on Drew McIntyre right now.
I'm on Drew McIntyre.
Okay,
So
okay.
anyway, Drew starts the show, and at first I thought, I was like, all right, we're really starting with the match first. I'm like, all right, they're going full into it immediately because he came out in his gear. So I'm like, all right, cool. But no, he gets on the mic, and I was like, all right, I'm fine with this. And what I think is funny is still, and I saw people saying it last night, is like, before getting into everything that he says, I know we've talked about this a lot, but it just, like, every single week it just keeps happening that you're reminded that he's his character is, I think it was Sean Ross Sapp that said his character is basically rooted in common sense, but we're supposed to hate him for it. Like, it's so true, because it's like we're supposed to hate
It's so
him.
true.
We're supposed to hate him because he's not going to forgive guys that beat him up, made sure he lost a title or a title opportunity, guys who have been proven to not be trustworthy by for everyone basically at Raw. And we're supposed to hate him for that, even though we would probably feel the same.
Because
Like,
the
that's his
truth
gimmick.
hurts, Sarah. The truth
It's
hurts.
it's just such a weird thing. Like, to a certain extent, I get it. You know, it's easy to build a guy against Cody or Sammy or Jay, like, right now. So if you're trying to build a bad guy against them, it's like, yeah, okay, we'll just have them go against them because, like, people are gonna hate them instantly. But it also is just kind of like a weird storyline because I'm like, when you think about it from your point of view, like your perspective, your life, uh uh the situations in your life.
Yeah, your point of view. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm Drew. Like, I would, the same thing would happen to me, but
yeah.
um
It's very interesting, the whole thing.
it's I think it's one of those storylines that's kind of annoying to me. Like, it's like, and I've said this time and time again. I think it's because I know that it's just wrestling and it's just a storyline, but I feel like we've kind of gotten to that point in wrestling where the characters aren't over the top. They're not superhuman. They're not
Yeah,
like comic book characters or
I would agree.
supervillains and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like, when that's the case, it's like the storylines, the feuds, whatever. If it feels bigger than life, it's in the right space because
Mhm.
that's what they're showing you. But now we're at a point where WWE is presenting like humans to you. Like, are some of it something like superhuman? Yeah, like, it's like, okay,
Yeah,
Roman's
their
got the
ability.
Superman
Yeah.
punch, and I don't know, Bobby Lashley is like the strongest guy,
Well,
and like,
LA Knight's elbow is supposed to be
stuff.
a
Yeah,
signature.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
stuff like that, it's like, okay, but I feel like as far as storylines go, this is one where you like think about it and try to relate to it, and then when you relate to it, it's like I feel like there's gonna be more people who relate to Drew's point of view of this situation than Sammy or Cody, who are just like, no, I forgive everybody because it was a mistake and he's a good person now. And I'm like, how many times has
Yeah.
that happened to you in your life and you got stabbed in the back for it? You
Like
know?
every time, just pull the knife out. Just keep pulling the knife out.
Y-
It. I agree that right now we're seeing a lot of storylines that have a lot of human elements within them. And
Mhm.
these storylines beforehand would be just wrestling. I wouldn't say like supernatural, but I understand what you mean. That it's just
Well, not
Hollywood
supernatural. It's like,
cinematic.
yeah, well, it's because it's like Hulk Hogan,
Yeah,
versus like
yeah,
the
no,
Ultimate
that's
Warrior. It's like
I
they're
give you
not
that. That's
real
still
people.
supernatural. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's going away from that and more into that attitude era we saw it kind of teased at first in the Attitude Era where Triple H began all that. So you're seeing a lot of his day when he was at the top in these storylines and how he does things. And Drew McIntyre being pissed because of common sense
Yeah.
is the most attitude grunge type of thing because he's wearing black and he's pissed off that Sammy said the whole like what he said, whatever. Point is, we're going too far. But like you feel for him and it's dark, but it's like a little over the top where you're like, yeah, I'd be pissed, but oh, I wouldn't do that. And that's a kind of
Cuz yeah, I think
yeah.
it's just where and that's the thing that I think is nice, because I think obviously there are elements that are still a part of, like, you know, the 90s 80s era of wrestling, where it is like comic book superhero type of thing, because that's appealing to kids, especially because you want to pick the good guy over the bad guy. Whereas the adults, which I think is they're obviously their bread and butter audience, you know, like 18 to 35 or whatever, I think when it comes to characters and storylines, it's a lot easier to to get those people interested in your product if they can relate to somebody. And so
Mhm.
these storylines, I think, are happening at the right time, because it doesn't feel over the top little kiddish, which, you know, like
No,
that
yeah.
that has happened even like during the Be a Star era, which, like, that was great. The message is great, and I'm glad that they did it, and I'm glad they
I
still
remember
push it. But there
yeah,
were some really
but
corny stuff going on at that
yeah,
time.
it's tough to be too corny, yeah.
Yeah, and I think now it's like there are going to be people that feel represented by Sammy, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to feel represented by Drew, and I feel like it's easier for people to get involved and like emotionally invested in the storyline when you have a little bit more of, like I said, like the human element to it, where people can actually think about their own experiences and like view it through them on
Mhm.
TV, if that makes sense, you
I
know.
agree. No, yeah, 1000%.